live show. As ever, joined by Ander. Good evening, Ander.
Evening, mate. How are you?
Yeah, Sam, I hope you're good as well. So there's a lot to get through tonight. Obviously, a stacked weekend of boxing, both sides of the Atlantic. But there's only one place to start, really, and that's probably with the trailblazing all-female card that's taking place on Saturday night in the UK. So, as ever, Andy will walk us through some of the card, and we'll have a chat about it fight by fight. Over to you, Andy.
Well, this obviously has been postponed, rescheduled for today, for this weekend, from the weekend of the Queen's death. Some of the American, I know Clarissa Shields got a bit peed about it, didn't she? She wasn't being disrespectful, but I think she was basically saying, look, we've travelled all the way over from the States. Now I've got to wait another 5 weeks and do it all over again. A little bit disruptive for some of these fighters. We'll go into that a bit later on who you think that benefits and doesn't benefit. But we'll go through some of the undercard. And like you say, mate, this is an historic card it's a massive spotlight for some of these young fighters. There's a lot of young fighters on this card with only 1 and 2 fight records. Under normal circumstances, I'd probably be jumping up and down on this and saying this isn't good enough. But you've got 2 unification, well, 1 undisputed, 1 unification world title fights at the top end of the bill.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy on this occasion to see some of these stars coming through and showing what they're capable of in the spotlight. A number of them from the amateurs anyway, but the old world might not know them through that.
I mean, I dig Ben Shalom out quite a bit on this show. I still think the jury's out on him regarding can he make big fights for some of his stable. But I have to give him props on this one because the headline of this show, the main event and the chief support is probably as good as we've seen for a long, long time. So, I am balanced. I give him props here. And it wouldn't be commercially sensible to start putting fighters at 1 and 2 that early in their careers in dingers, would it? Let's be honest.
No,
so you can't blame him, can you, for getting them out on this card and building the profile. So props to Ben Shalom. Well,
let's have it right, mate. No promoter does that.
No
promoter risks a big name. Let's take Lauren Price as an example. Gold medalist in the Olympics. No one's going to risk her against a real dangerous opponent when she's only 1-0 in the pros. It's just not going to happen. So this is a perfect place for her to show what she's all about.
And the eyes of the world's on this card as well. So from a profile perspective.
Exactly what I'm trying to say, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's start a little bit down the card. We'll start with April Hunter. New addition to Peter Fury's camp up in Macclesfield. Doing fantastic stuff by all accounts. She's in against, here we go with the names, mate, already.
I know.
Erica Alvarez, who is from Argentina. She's 3-6. We've said on a number of occasions, haven't we? You just never know with South American fighters what you're going to get. And women's South American fighters are no different to the guys. They're always hard as nails. They'll stick in, and this is a really good fight for April Hunter. This is because this girl's not going to just drop. She's not just going to go away. It'll be a really tough fight. April Hunter sat at 5-1, with her only loss coming to Christy Bevington. I like April Hunter. I like the fact that she's now with Peter Fury, who I rate as one of the very, very best coaches in the country.
Yeah.
Look at what he's done for Savannah Marshall. She was great anyway, but she lacked confidence and self-belief, and he's drilled that into her over camp after camp after camp. And now look at her. She she'd take on King Kong if they let her.
Yeah.
So I can see April Hunter going the same way. So I'm looking forward to this. There's a lot of fighters on this card, mate. I'm looking forward to seeing. Let's move on to we just spoke about her. The two girls from Team GB. Firstly, Lauren Price, who obviously come out with a gold medal in the Olympics. She's the real star. You can perhaps add Caroline Dubois alongside her, but for me, she's the real big star for boxer going forward. I think she could be the next massive star in female boxing if they handle her the right way. She's in with Tamia Belik from Hungary, who has a 6-6 record. These fights are what they are. We've just said it, but what it's doing is it's getting Lauren's name out to the bigger public in the UK that are not fight fans, that won't really know her if they did. I mean, let's have it right. The majority of people that watch boxing in the Olympics are fight fans, and supporters of Lauren more than likely as well. So a lot of people, even from the UK, won't know who she is, but they certainly will do after this, because this is going to be seen by millions, mate. Okay, moving on to Karis Artinstall, again an Olympian. Funnily enough, in the amateurs, she beat Sky Nicholson, who's going on to do massive things. That'll be an interesting fight down the line. Bit of a rematch. I could see that happening at some point. Good evening, Jack. How are you, mate? Oh, Jack's telling me that Lauren Price's opponent fought for the European title 2 fights ago. So she's a better quality fighter than I was giving her credit for, Jack. If you're free, mate, jump on. Back to Karis Artinstall. Do you think she's in Lauren Price's shadow a little bit, Carl?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I've always thought that. I think Lauren Price gets a big push because of her sporting background. They like the narrative that she used to play for Cardiff City at football. I think it was Cardiff City. So I think she gets a good push. So, yeah, I also think Lauren Price is a bit of a better talker. So that helps a lot at this stage of the career. But they're all in a similar stage of the career, aren't they? You know, where they're just getting the personality across. But I definitely think I definitely think she's got up a game on the media side.
They both probably have, mate. But that's something that they don't get thrown under the spotlight in the amateurs, do they?
No, because it's all around them, isn't it? In the GB squad, it's all taken care. All they've got to do is fight, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. They don't have to do any of it. So these big nights, I mean, especially this one, mate. The media coverage is absolutely huge. It's going to be a massive eye opener for them. And again, it depends. Even no matter where they are on the bill. This is in the O2. It's going to be packed out.
Yeah.
It's probably the biggest stage they've fought on. Outstanding for their progress, mate. Outstanding for experience. They're going to learn so much about themselves as well, being under the lights in that extra pressure. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing where both of these two progress to. I have high hopes for both of them, if I'm honest.
I think Price will go further than Artenstall. I've always thought that. I do. I've always thought that.
Lauren Price is real quality, mate.
Yeah.
Mr. Gladman's going to come and join us in 10 minutes, I believe. Countdown. Okay, let's moving slowly on. I don't want to rush through it too quickly. Guinea Fuchs, I think that's how you pronounce it, is 1-0. She's going in against Gemma Rudd from the UK, who's 5-4. Gemma's coming off a 2-win fight streak after losing to Shannon Ryan, who's also on the card. So Guinea Fuchs, I believe, is stablemate for Michaela Mayer. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I believe there's a connection there if she's not a stablemate. That's probably why That's probably why she's on this card. Gemma Rugg is a talent though. She's real tough. Evening, Joe. Nice to hear from you again, mate. Jack Gladman says Rugg beats Fuchs. How do you see it playing out, Carl?
I'll be honest with you, I don't overly know much about Ginny Fuchs. I'll be honest with you. Or the other one, to be honest. Andy, I'll be honest with you, I don't know that much about these two. I'm going to put my cards on the table. So, but if you look at the form, I'd go with Fuchs to be winning this. They've obviously brought her over to build a profile, haven't they? Because UK female boxing is flying, isn't it? So, yeah. Just reading the bits that I have done, I've not seen either of them perform either, if I'm honest. So,
you know what, mate? We need to give it. You've just mentioned something there. We need to give a nod to female boxing in the UK. There's no way this card gets made in the States. No way. Even though 3 of the fighters in the 2 main fights are American.
Yeah,
it tells you a lot about where we are with female boxing in the UK.
And it told you where the USA are with female boxing as well. That 3 of their biggest female stars are on one card in the UK.
Yeah. No, absolutely, mate. And they've all come out and said it. But Clarissa Shields has said that even this boosts her profile. And she's, let's have it right, mate. However we think the fight goes in a little while, we'll talk about it. She's won everything there is to win. She should be as big a star in sport as any other star in the United States.
Well, she should be along the lines of what Katie Taylor is in the UK.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
Yeah, she should be, mate. Yeah, should be hailed for her achievements. But I would hazard a guess, mate, that if you walk down the streets in the States, in any city, apart from maybe her own town, I would hazard a guess that not a lot of people will know who she is. And that's a crying shame.
Yep.
Moving swiftly on. Ebony Jones, currently 2-0-1. She's going in against Vanessa Caballero from Spain, who has a record of 4-15-3. She's lost the last 8 of the last 9 fights that she's been in. So that probably tells you where she's at. That's more likely going to be a fairly easy night's work for Ebony Jones, I would think.
Yeah, they're building Ebony's profile, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that
again, mate, that's not a knock. That's not a knock. These young fighters need experience. They need a bit of grounding. This girl might last a few rounds. She's got experience. And that's, at the end of the day, for a fight like this, they're going to learn so much, even if they're only in there a couple of minutes. They're going to learn so much from the build-up, from the exposure for the week. It's real good for them, this. Okay,
what I would say is, and this is quite a brave statement, but I'm going to say it, I will be judging this card on a boxing card because that is a true sign of equality. So I will be judging it on the quality of the boxing during the card. And that just shows you how far female boxing's come, because that's what we all do now. So
absolutely, mate. Yeah, completely agree with you. We're going to be doing, I believe, unless Carl changes his mind, I believe we're doing a live straight after the show on Saturday night. So please join us. We'll discuss and break down what's happened in the card during the night. We'll do exactly that, like we would for any other card, and that's exactly the way it should be. There's some outstanding talent on this card.
There is
outstanding talent. For people that watch the card and don't know who they are, just sit and enjoy it, and you'll realise what we're talking about. Some of these have got brilliant records in the amateurs. Going back to Lauren Price, for example, I didn't say it and I should have. She had 46 wins and 12 losses in the amateurs. Art install, 25 wins, 7 losses in the amateurs. I mean, Lauren Price won loads of different accolades. Not only just gold in the Olympics, she won loads of different stuff. Quality, real quality.
It'll be quite interesting to see if the debate comes up on Saturday night about the length of rounds again. Because 2 minutes does, it does play. Well, I'm torn because I do like the way they just get on with it.
Yeah, there's a strong possibility, mate, that if you make it 3 rounds, are they going to start taking half a minute off each round? Are you going to start seeing female fighters holding like male fighters do when you start going into 6 and 7 rounds?
I think they should pilot it.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, they're all calling for it themselves. Female fighters want 3-minute rounds.
Yeah.
And it will change. I tell you what, it will change the dynamic of results. You know, there's been so many results where fighters are out on the feet. You know, a minute and a half into a round, late on in a fight, that goes 3 rounds and they might get stopped.
Yeah.
You know, but 2 minutes seems to fly, don't it?
Yeah.
2 minutes is gone like that. And I tell you what as well, 2-minute rounds are much harder to judge than 3-minute rounds because, like you say, they go for it, don't they? A lot of the times it's toe-to-toe, and those type of fights are really difficult to score. I think we'll see it in these headlining fights.
Like you say, though, is that what sets it aside from the male brand? You know, is that what makes it exciting and entertaining? These are all factors that need to be taken into account.
It's definitely exciting for the fact that it's 2 minutes, but I don't know. Like you say, it needs to be piloted. It needs to be trialed, and let's see how it pans out on a. And for me, it needs to be a 10-rounder for a world title. The 3-minute round, because then you're going to know, because that's the creme, isn't it? That's the creme de la creme of female fighting. If those girls fight the same way for 3 minutes for 10 rounds, then it's worth going, okay, you know, should this be pushed to 3 minutes for everybody?
I'm not sure I'd do it at that end of the spectrum. I think I'd go a bit lower down the spectrum than that. Because you could argue counter to that. You could argue that if the lower end of boxing can do 3 minutes, then the upper echelons of the boxing will be able to do 3 minutes. Well, if you go at the top end, and they can do 3 minutes, but then as you get down the levels, they're struggling to do it. All of a sudden, you're watering down the female boxing in terms of
Absolutely.
a product.
Good evening, Jack.
Evening.
So, what's your feeling on the 2-minute, 3-minute round debate?
See, I'd like the 3 minutes. I'm with you though. I think they need to pilot it. I think I'm with you two on that. But there is something I'd like to see before we get that. I'd like to see a British title. Because we still haven't got one, and we definitely have the depth to do it at this point in most divisions, not every division.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate.
I mean, look, if Robert Smith wants to come and have a conversation with me, I seem to be one of about 3 or 4 matchmakers that's bringing a lot of female fighters over.
Jack, I think Robert Smith might be a little bit busy at the minute with some other things going on.
Let's not get into that.
I don't think you'll have diary space for you, Jack.
Yeah, let's try and avoid getting sued.
So I'll just pick your comments up on the side. Joe says, yeah, I agree. Start to enjoy the round. It starts to get bubbling, then it's over as it has to be 3 minutes. And he goes on to say Nicola Adams did 3-minute rounds, he thinks. So
yeah, she did early on. She did that in like a 6 or an 8 rounder. She randomly did have 3-minute rounds. I don't even know how they even got that approved, because the reason it isn't at the moment is a safety thing, apparently.
Right.
Personally, I think it might be an outdated safety thing.
I never saw them fights. Did you see that fight, Jack?
Yeah.
So how did she fare doing 3 minutes?
She did okay, but it was early on in her career, so I don't know if you remember what Nicola was. When Nicola Adams first turned over, she didn't look that amazing. Yeah. I think she stayed a little bit too long as an amateur. In the same way some of the male fighters did. he's my mate. I can say this. Tom Stalker was probably one that stayed too long as an amateur, and then by the time he turned over, he didn't achieve what he could have as a pro. But I think Nicola was a bit like that. But she didn't. It didn't look like the time was any problem to her. Like
Right.
But it was like Carl was saying. Lower down, would they be able to do that? But maybe they do what they do with British English titles with the men. So you do 2-minute rounds until you get to world level, and like you jump up 2 rounds to go up to British title level. So you say, or if they bring in a British title, that's the first fight you do at 3-minute rounds. I don't know, but
And you've got the options
there's
of
got to
the
be a way
amount
to make it work.
You've got the options of how many rounds it's over as well, Jack, haven't you? So
Yeah.
you could go 3 minutes over 4, 10.
Yeah,
Something like that.
they could say, right, you go 3 minutes, and they do 2-minute rounds up till you get to an 8-round fight. Then it goes to 3 minutes for 8 rounds, or do it, or vice versa, and just do it like that. There's got to be a way to phase it in. I think. I mean, obviously, there's probably if it is a medical reason, they've obviously got to look into that, but.
Yeah.
And I'm not a doctor. I'm not about to start saying, yes, we should do this. No, we shouldn't. But personally, I'd like to see it trialed.
How can it be for a medical reason?
It's to do with so if you notice, I believe, and this is allegedly because I'm not getting sued in case I get this wrong. It was to do with the fact that the women cut a lot more. A lot of women cut a lot more weight.
Oh, right, okay. Because they move up and down weights, don't they, quite a bit?
They move, yeah, which I'm always impressed that women can do that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Female fighters, respect to you, because...
Wasn't there a biological reason as well, Jack?
Yeah, there's some sort of...
Surely not.
I'm sure they quoted a biological reason. I don't know why it was. I probably turned the page. But I'm sure they mentioned that there's a biological reason as well.
Joe's made a good point in the sidebar. I'm sure Serrano wanted 3-minute rounds, but Taylor refused. But that was in the USA. I tell you what, Joe. That fight is one of the fights that springs to mind when I was making my point earlier on about people get saved in 2-minute rounds, and there was a round in that fight where Serrano was battering Taylor from pillar to post.
Do you know there was
if that round would have gone for 3 minutes, Taylor would have got stopped.
Do you know that there was there's something, and you both will probably disagree with me, but I think Shannon Courtney won the world title on the 2-minute rounds, because there was a point where Bridges had her backed on the ropes. If it had gone another minute, I think Bridges would have stopped her.
And I remember saying, actually, me and Carl watched that together. I remember saying to Carl, Courtney's done here. It was after about 3 rounds or 4 rounds, wasn't it, Jack?
Yeah, and then the next round was when Courtney did Bridges' eye. And if it
hadn't... she got a second wind, Courtney.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed by a stamina after that. She got a second wind, and all of a sudden, yeah, you're right. She did. Bridges did her eye, and obviously credit to her for carrying on with the state her eye was in. But I think you're right. If that had been 3 minutes, she'd have probably lost that fight.
Yeah, I think Bridges would have got her out of there in that fight. And I mean, that wasn't a dig at Shannon Courtney, by the way. It was just the way that the fight worked out. Because
another good shot in the sidebar by Joe. Bassoon would have stopped Taylor with 3-minute rounds.
Possibly.
Yeah, Taylor was blowing in that fight as well.
Yeah, Taylor was blowing in that fight. That's not, again, we're not digging out fighters, by the way.
No.
They probably would have fought differently had there been 3-minute rounds. I don't know.
Of course.
Like, I'm just.
You could argue Taylor lost that fight on 2-minute rounds anyway.
I mean, the thing is,
Taylor about the Madison Square Garden one, yeah.
Taylor still has a very amateurish style. She always has. That's not going to change now. And she's non-stop, isn't she? So if that was to go to 3-minute rounds, it's too late in her career now because she's near the end. But if 3-minute rounds had come in when she became pro, she would have had to have changed the style completely to do 3 minutes.
There's some fighters I think would really suit 3-minute rounds. Funny enough, one of the ones you mentioned earlier, Sky Nicholson, I think would suit 3-minute rounds just because of the style she has.
Yeah.
But some would really suit it, some wouldn't. Like, I think Sky Nicholson would. possibly Bridges would because she can punch quite hard. But then there's a couple lower down that I think would suit it. I was at a show the other week at York Hall, and one of the girls on that who thought I think would suit it because she punches reasonably hard. But then there's some that, like Taylor, who that amateur style, it wouldn't suit it.
I think Natasha Jonas would suit 3-minute rounds.
Yeah.
She manages time in rounds really, really
We're not
well.
going to go through the entire female fighting population, are we? Saying who's going to shoot 3 rounds or not? We'll be here till midnight.
Let's crack on. Good point, Cole. Let's crack on with the card. So I've done these in no particular order because I don't know what order Sky are going to put them in. I think Caroline Dubois is going to be right up on the bill. So Caroline Dubois against Milena
Khaliva,
is it?
Yeah, I tried to book her the other week. And because of this show getting moved, I couldn't. It was annoying.
What do you know about her then, Jack? See who's going to book her?
She's big puncher. I don't know if you know who Dee Allen is that's been knocking everyone out. She's the only person to put Dee Allen on the floor.
Okay.
3-0 and fighting for the WBC International this weekend on a different show. And so she's the only person to put her on the floor. She's got 10 wins, I think.
10 wins, 14 losses, and 1 draw.
And I think the draw could have been arguably a win, if I remember correctly.
So what you're saying is this is a tough night's work for Caroline.
This is them going, well, this is Dubois being not let off the leash, but put on an extendable lead in a way. You know, to use the expression let off the leash, I think she's been put on an extendable lead because this is someone who will throw punches back at her.
Right.
And do you know what? It would be interesting to see.
Still don't go 3 rounds.
I still think Dubois will win. I think it. How many rounds is it over? 6?
I'm not sure.
I'm just going to assume it's 6. If it's over 6, I'd imagine she'll get stopped in 4, maybe. I think Khaliva will open herself up to getting hit because she throws back.
Is Caroline Dubois a better fighter than her brother?
Well, we haven't seen her tested yet, so I don't know how I could answer that really.
Well, go off her amateur experience as well, though, Jack. Don't just go on the pro.
Right, yeah. If we're going off her amateur experience, she should be, yeah. Because Daniel didn't have that great of an amateur career, did he?
I think the question is, will she achieve more than Daniel? And the answer to that, yes.
Yeah, the answer to that is yes. Unless Dubois does something amazing that I'm not expecting and knocks Fury out or something. But I think she'll go on and she could end up being a unified world champion, you know.
Whereas Daniel's got no chance.
Joe in the sidebar, very, very talented is Dubois. KOs this girl.
Yeah, I do think she'll KO this girl. I don't think she'll KO her in a round like she's done. Like some people I've seen on Twitter thinking, oh, another girl that she's going to roll over. No.
I hope not, Jack.
And fight.
I hope not. I hope this girl tests her a little bit. Even tests her chin. That'd be nice. I
think Khaliva will do that. I think Khaliva will come in and will throw and will try and do it.
Have you had the phone call from Shalom, Warren, or Ern yet? How's the career going?
I've had one on Shalom's.
There we go.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Man. Do you want to give us a shout out of what that fight was, Jack?
It was a while ago. It was on their pre-show up in Newcastle. Carl Turney versus Kilukuku, however you pronounce the guy's name. He's one of Peter Fury.
How long ago are you talking, Jack?
Probably it would have been. Let me think. Probably
Roughly.
June time.
Newcastle.
When they were up in Newcastle. It was Savannah Marshall's last.
I was going to say, was it Savannah Marshall's show?
So I'm just trying to work out my percentage, Jack. That's all, because obviously that came about after being on Last Bell Boxing. So what I'm doing is I'm just writing my contract and putting the percentage in.
Oh right.
So where am I sending the invoice to?
Send it to them. It took me long enough to get it.
He's sweating now. Look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving swiftly on, Jack. I'll save you blushes there, mate.
Yeah, save my blushes on that one.
Michaela Mayer. Oh, I can't believe how great this fight is.
I
Michaela
love this
Mayer,
fight. This is
Alicia-
my favourite fight on the card, probably.
Alicia
Sorry,
Bumgardner.
the
This
main
fight. Oh, mate, this fight. Michaela Mayer 17-0. Alicia Bumgardner is 12-1. God, so good this fight. Obviously, Michaela Mayer's the IBF.
Michaela Mayer has got it all. She's a walking PR machine.
Yeah. So Michaela Mayer's the IBF WBO champion, and Alicia Bumgardner is the IBO WBC champion. It's a shame this isn't for Undisputed, but it's not. But this is.
Oh, is this the stupid thing with Choi?
Yeah.
Is it Choi?
This is the only little downside to the fight is that it isn't undisputed because it deserves to be. Jack, lay it on the line for me. How does this fight go?
What, me? Okay. I genuinely I'm edging it to Mayer, but this could go anywhere. Like, genuinely,
Oh,
this could
don't
go
give me
anywhere.
an Andy answer. He asked you who's going to win, Jack.
All right.
He asked you to lay it all on the line, and you're giving me
to
a...
put myself on the line, Mayer, but
nothing. There's no but.
Yeah.
Cole, let him break the fight down.
I can't do with two people who can't answer questions, though. One's enough.
He's going to give you an answer, but let him break the fight down first.
Go on, then, Jack. I won't interrupt again, Jack. Go on.
My logic is Michaela Mayer, but the thing is she will win it, but I think it will be a narrow points decision. I don't think either of them are going to get stoppage because I just think they're both too tough to do it, and I think we'll all sit there at the end of it and go, we want a rematch.
Do you think it'll be controversial, or do you think it'll be
no? I just think it'll be a good
decision
fight
for Mayer.
I just think it could even be a split decision, but I just think it'll be such a good fight that we'll all go, I want to see that again.
Yeah,
there'll be a headliner next time as well.
It will, but it won't be a headliner in America because for some reason they still don't get the value of that.
You never know. You never know after Saturday though, because there's gonna be a lot of eyeballs on this in America, isn't there, on Saturday?
Well, obviously, Michaela Mayer is sat on the top rank. They don't know what to do with her. They've never known what to do with her. But after this fight, after this show, you watch. She'll be headlining top rank shows, mate. Because
I'd like you to be right.
I am going to be right. It's going to be shown on the weekend just how important female boxing is on the grand scheme of things.
Do you know what? I think Carl was absolutely right, though.
It's been known.
If Mayer, say I'm right and Mayer does win on Saturday, she is literally the perfect fighter because she basically has everything PR-wise. You just sit back and go. You could basically sit back as a promoter or a matchmaker and just go. You just give her an opponent and just sit back and let her promote the fight because she pretty much does.
Go on, Cole.
Baumgartner doesn't do a bad job of it, but
let's have your breakdown, Cole.
Just before I do, I'll throw another prediction out there as well. When Mayer wins on Saturday, I think she'll also be on the Tyson Fury undercard on December the 3rd. You heard it here first.
Ooh.
Do you know what? I'd love you to be right on that.
I think her profile's just growing bigger and bigger especially in the UK. So my rationale behind that is I think Tyson Fury versus Delboy, which we're going to come on to, needs all the PR it can get because
I was going to say it would make me more interested in that card.
Yeah.
Cole, break the fight down for me then.
So I think Michaela Mayer is going to outbox Bumgardner. I know Bumgardner's got a punch on her, but I just think Mayer will be too slick for her. So I think Mayer's going to win on points. Seems to be a popular opinion. Close fight, don't get me wrong, but I just think Mayer will have that a little bit too much for
her. Okay. I'm going to book the trend a little bit. I think Alicia Bumgardner is much better than her exposure shows her to be. Michaela May, don't get me wrong, is the better rounded boxer.
Yeah.
But she has no head movement. She throws lots of shots. She's got lots of combinations. She has all the shots in the book, but she has no head movement.
Good feet though.
Yeah. If Boom Gardner lands, mate, it changes the fight there and then because she hits that hard. And let's not forget, Boom Gardner's a better fighter, better boxer than people give her credit for being.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realise she can actually box, and then when you see it, you go, "Oh."
There's a lot of needle in this fight.
Yeah,
that makes me think that Michaela May is going to stand in trade more than she would in any other fight. I think she'll get dragged in. I think she'll get dragged in, especially if Boom Gardner lands. She'll get dragged in, and then it turns the fight. It turns the fight to Boom Gardner's advantage. I'm going to go Boom Gardner late stoppage. That's my prediction.
Okay.
Moving on to another fight with lots and lots and lots of needle. It feels, you know what? It feels like this fight has been in the making for a couple of years. It's been talked about, but realistically, it's only really been, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months when the fight was originally made and she first came over. They had a bit of toing and throwing outside the ring up in Newcastle.
And she got terrified of Geordies.
Yeah. yeah. She didn't want it to be Newcastle. She didn't want it to be Newcastle. So, again, Joe, I'll come to you first. Jack, I'll come to you first. How'd you see the fight going? Break it down for me.
I think that Clarissa will be up on the cards, but I think that towards the latter part of the fights, when she's gone deep, she does start to fade, and I think she'll get caught, and I think Marshall will stop her. I'm going Marshall 9th or 10th round stoppage.
Cole?
Yeah, I'm not too dead. I really don't like agreeing with Jack, but yeah, I've got to admit, I can see Clarissa Shields being up on the first half of the fight, a bit like Jack said. But I still believe Marshall's going to drag her into deep waters that she's never experienced before. Marshall gets strong as the fight goes on. So I'm going to go a bit later. I think it's going to be round 11 I'm going for, Marshall stoppage. I can't see Marshall going all fight without
that would be hard when it's a 10-round fight.
Is it? Is it not over 12?
No, it's 10 rounds.
For women.
Let me rephrase that then. So I'll go round 10. I thought it was a 12-round fight, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'll go round 10. I think Peter Fury will come up with a game plan. That's how I rate Peter Fury as a coach.
Yeah, I really rate him as well, which is annoying because me and you keep agreeing on this.
Yeah, good job I didn't go to the books and put round 12 there, wasn't it? Not that I'm endorsing gambling, obviously. So yeah, so I'm going round 10. I'm going Shields round 10.
Clarissa Shields has self-confidence is going to be her undoing here. She and this isn't banter to build up the fight. It's not to try and get a mental edge on Savannah Marshall. She genuinely believes Savannah Marshall doesn't belong in the same ring as her. That'll be her undoing because by the time
absolutely rent free in Shields' head and shit.
By the time Clarissa Shields realizes it's going to be too late because that big shot landed. Don't get me wrong. I think she'll take some of the shots. I think she's got a better chin than we give her credit maybe for having. But she'll land. Savannah Marshall will land one big bomb too many, and it'll be good night Vienna.
She compared Marshall's power to Hannah Rankin, and I don't know how you can do that. And I like Hannah. Hannah, like I'm mates with Hannah's coach and everything, but even he would say that Savannah's way more power. That has way more power than Hannah does.
So I'll just take a comment in the side. So Joe says the fact that a multi-weight undisputed champion has to come to the UK to get paid tells you where told you what the Americans, I'll use that word, feel about female fighters. Joe thinks Marshall's going to win on a controversial split decision.
Ooh.
Oh, please don't go there because we don't need that fight happening.
Well, I can envision what Joe's saying there.
Same.
Because I think we all agree Clarissa Shields is probably going to box great for the first few rounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she'll be up on the cards.
First
And it'll
off,
be-
4 or 5 rounds, she'll be.
She'll be up on the cards, and
Probably,
it'll be
what, 1 round,
Savannah
maybe?
Marshall to chase then.
Yeah.
And it'll be a case of if she doesn't get her out of there, does she get enough points in those late rounds to take the victory? So I could see that if she didn't get the stoppage, I could see what Jack say. Done it again. What Joe is saying there, that if it goes to points, it could end up being quite a controversial close fight.
Yeah, where everyone's got it scored a draw and they give it to flipping.
But that's the home advantage, Jack. You see it a million and one times all over the
That
world.
shouldn't exist, but it does.
Shouldn't exist, but it does.
I
It
know
does.
that.
And if
I've
Shields
seen, I've
doesn't,
seen it happen on shows I've been involved in and gone, well, how's that happen then?
if Shields doesn't understand that, with all her experience, then there's a problem.
yeah, Joe
Oh,
said
she knows.
Joe said it's going to be very close, and we know how these things go.
True. He's not wrong.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So obviously, Deontay
Oh,
Wilder.
there's one thing I was going to.
Hold on a minute,
Go on,
Jack.
Jack.
You're messing around. We're running all. You missed your boat now, Jack.
Go on,
No,
Jack. Go on, Jack.
That's it. I don't know if you lot have seen who Georgia O'Connor's fighting. She's fighting an unbeaten Belgium champion. Bizarrely.
This unbeaten Belgian champion's only had 3 fights, though, Jack.
Yeah, Joyce Van He.
Yeah, but bear in mind who the Olympians are fighting. And, well, actually, no, I say the Olympians because Lauren Price is fighting a girl who fought for the European title, so she's kind of out of this. It's a bit weird that you've got someone who was, yes, she was GB, but she didn't go to the Olympics, fighting somebody who's 3-0. Like, how does that make any sense to me?
Because she's not seen as, I don't want to be disrespectful here, she's not seen as the real star like Lauren Price and Artin Stall have been seen as.
But why sign her then? Because she does decent tickets. So up in the northeast, she could have been out more than she's
You've just
already
answered
out.
it yourself, Jack. You've just answered it yourself.
Yeah.
She does decent tickets.
Yeah, true. It just stops her fighting on local cards, which to me just doesn't make sense. If you're not gonna treat her as one of the stars, I don't see the logic behind it.
But there's
I
an
mean,
opportunity.
if she
there's
wins,
an
obviously she'll jump on quite a lot.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an opportunity for her, isn't it, to start to create a profile, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I was sat with her the other day at her show, and really nice person. Like, if she gets on camera, she's great interview.
Jack,
But-
you ask any female fighter currently fighting on the small all show scene. Any female fighter, they would rip your arm off to be on this show.
I know. I'm not saying It wasn't a dig. It was just kind of like a bit of a. She's fighting a 3-0 girl, really. But then
So,
the same thing happened with April Hunter, and then she fought Bavington, didn't she? So
Yeah.
So just before I try to move on again, then Jack, have you finished with that card? Are we done?
yeah.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to Deontay Wilder returns on early hours of Sunday morning in the UK against Robert Elenius. So Andy, give us your thoughts on this one. Just before you start, sorry. WBC title eliminator as well, I might add.
Which is the biggest load of crap I've heard in my entire life. Firstly, how is Deontay Wilder still sat in the number 1 spot on the WBC rankings? Answers on a postcard.
All right, I thought you were asking me then because I don't have the answer.
Anybody. I'm asking the world. I don't think there's a single person on planet Earth other than the WBC president, that could give you an answer. It's a disgrace, mate. He's just got absolutely destroyed the last 3 fights.
Have you
And
met
he's
Martin
number
from
one.
Sporting Icons on YouTube? You'd love him. He keeps saying this in every video.
It's an absolute disgrace. It's a sham to boxing. The guy should be made to build his way back into the top 10. Now, he might do that in 2 fights by knocking out the number 1 and number 2 spots. But he shouldn't be sat at number 1, mate. This should not be a final eliminator.
It's not a final eliminator. I just want to clear that up. It's an eliminator, and the winner has to fight Andy Ruiz for the final eliminator.
Yeah, it's a WBC title eliminator.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, okay. So Andy Ruiz is sat at number 2, isn't it?
No, Ruiz is at 3. So what happened was,
Who sat at 2 then?
it was Luis Ortiz at the time, and then they fought Ruiz and Luis Ortiz fought. Now it's Magmadov, but they were doing a tournament, so the top 4 at the time fought. Oh no, 4 of the top 5, because the person in 4th couldn't do it.
I know this will really surprise you, but tickets are meant to be going really slow.
Oh, what a shock.
And it's also pay-per-view on Fox over in the States.
It's pay-per-view here as well.
Yeah, on Fight TV.
Yeah.
Oh my life! So let's have a quick guess at what the Americans have got to pay to watch this shower of shite.
Well, I know the answer, so.
What is it then, Jack?
$85, something like that, Jack.
75.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I know the answer. That's how I'm.
And he speaks volumes. It's on Fight TV. No disrespect to Fight TV intended, but if it had any traction in the UK, it would be on obviously let's call them the mainstream sports channels.
If Sky could have literally put it on free to air, and they're not bothering, so that's not free to air, but you know what I mean, like free.
Yeah, subscription.
Sky.
Yeah.
Let me just say this: I don't have a problem with Deontay Wilder fighting Elenius because he's just got schooled in 3 fights. He needs a confidence-boosting fight. This is the right fight for him.
Yeah,
but
it's the right fight. It just shouldn't be an eliminator.
No, it shouldn't be an eliminator. It should be exactly what it is. Where's Elenius sat in the rankings?
Now, he's down
in
to
the
5.
top 10.
Yeah, he's 5.
It's not a bad.
Has he been moved into the top 10 for this fight by any chance, Jack?
No, he's actually been moved down. He was 3.
I mean, it's not a bad card by American standards, and I'm not saying that tongue in cheek and not disrespect them. It's just
no, the actual undercard's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, you got Plant versus Jarrell at super middleweight. You've got Gary Antonio Russell, and you got Frank Sanchez.
See, I like Frank Sanchez. If they put him in an eliminator, I would have actually gone, they're okay.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
There's talk that Frank Sanchez was going to fight Joe Joyce, wasn't there?
Again, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But I've had it on very good authority that that's just not the case.
Yeah, I've had that. I've heard the same thing, actually, to be fair. They were talking about it, and it just never happened. But I don't know.
So back to what you was asking me, Cole. I don't have a problem with the fight happening. It shouldn't be fighting for as an eliminator, and I won't be watching it, and I won't be watching it on YouTube the day after because I really don't give a damn.
I've got a question for all of you. This 4-man tournament that the WBC were determined to do to make Furies mandatory, who would you have had as your 4? Obviously, you can't put Usyk in it because he's got all the other belts.
Joe Joyce.
He's WBO mandatory, so that rules him out because he's interim champion. They can't.
But the only thing I would say is, if you're just going to go purely from the WBC rankings, what credibility has it got?
None.
No, but I'm saying you can't use people who are world champions and they class him as a world champion because of the interim belt.
Here's my problem with rankings, Jack.
Yeah.
You mean Jack?
Jack.
Yeah,
here's my problem with rankings.
Yeah.
The governing bodies play with the rankings to suit what they want to happen for that title. That's why the ranking, the 4 main belt rankings, the rankings are completely different for everyone. The top 10s are completely different for everyone because each of them have their own agenda. It's a disgrace.
They do all have their own agenda, yeah. I mean, so I'll give you an example, and I'm going to use someone who's not the WBC. The WBA have a rule that Lucas Brown must be in the top 10 now because of that Australasian belt thing. So he cannot be outside the top 10.
Really?
So he while he holds that title.
Jack, let me answer your question. Who I'd have?
Yeah, go on.
So I'd have Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
I'd have Dillian White.
Yeah.
I'd have Andy Ruiz Jr.
Yeah.
And then, as a bit of a curveball, I would throw someone in like, I know Ergovich wasn't great, but maybe Michael Hunter, someone like that as a curveball, or Wallen.
Yeah. I'll tell you who I would have. I'd have Joshua White, and I'd have Ruiz, and I'd have Magmadov. Arsabeg Magmadov, because I genuinely believe that guy genuinely wants to fight people, but nobody wants to fight him at the moment, and he can't fight in the UK because he's Russian. And he's not allowed to fight here at the moment.
We're not able to fight in the
Or
US
why not
either,
just
are we?
do?
No,
Why
they
not-
can fight in the US, Russians, as long as they don't fight under a US neutral flag. You just can't fight here.
Why not just do a World Boxing Super Series and have it in heavyweight and cut through all the promotional and governing body crap? Very expensive.
I'm
don't get me wrong.
up for it. Somebody pitch it to Calla, will they?
I'm going to say it'll be a very expensive exercise, but surely if there's some oil money on the go somewhere, you know.
Hell, I'll do the matchmaking for that for free if they
I'm
want.
sure you would.
I genuinely would, just to get that out of the way, because it's starting to annoy me now. I shouldn't have said that on camera now, because someone phoned me.
So basically, what we're going to end up having here, lads, is we're going to come on to it in a minute. Tyson Fury is going to be fighting another fighter for the 3rd time in Derek Chisora. He's already fought Wilder 3 times. He's going to end up then fighting Wilder for a 4th time. So, I don't know, how many fights has Fury had? 27, 28?
Yep.
Just check for me, Carl.
Somebody check that, because I don't actually know.
32.
Right, 32.
Did anyone see he called out Chris Healy last night?
What?
For the
He called
central,
out-
for the
Yeah,
central
he called out Chris
area.
Healy because he's the central area champion, and it's the only belt
Yeah.
he hasn't got. I've got Chris Healy's manager's number, and he said he's had 150 messages since Fury put that message. Call out going, "Do you want the fight? Do you want the fight?" Look.
The point I'm trying to make, guys, is Fury's had 32 fights. 7 of them are against 2 people.
True.
What good's that to anybody? 7
I
of
don't know.
them will have been against 2 people.
And the one time
Let's have it right. Just let's have it right. They weren't even close fights.
Which ones?
None of them.
Oh, either of them. Yeah.
None of them were close fights. None of them.
No.
None of them deserved a rematch. Number one. Well, maybe the first Wilder Fury.
To be fair, the second Chisora fight was because Chisora became Fury's mandatory for the British title.
But they're doing it again, though, Jack.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like you said, it didn't deserve a rematch the second time. It was only a rematch the second time because he became Fury's mandatory. Fury didn't have a choice but to fight him a second time. I don't know why he's fighting him a 3rd time. That's pointless.
I'd like to see what numbers this does because it really hasn't captured my imagination. I'm a massive.
It's going to need one hell of an undercard. Put it that way.
Do you know what? There's so many prospect fighters coming through in the UK. Why didn't Fury just give one of them a shot? Because would they have done any worse? I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful, but Del Boy's had his day. He's not the fighter he was from even a few years back. He's regressed. He's regressed probably since that Fury fight. Let's have it right. He's had a couple of decent wins in that time period, but there are fighters, up and coming fighters. Why don't Fury just give one of them a big shot, like a Rocky film title shot?
If they're on the fringes of the top 15, there's a way to get there would probably be a way to get them in, because there shouldn't be, but there will probably be a way.
Jack, this isn't mandatory. This is voluntary.
Yeah, I know, but you still have to be in the top 15 or a former world champion. You can't
Top 15 of what?
The WBC. You can't be outside the top 15, otherwise they won't sanction it.
Are you telling me Del Boy's in the top 15?
Del Boy's 13, yeah. Del Boy's 13, yeah. So that's why Fury's able to do this.
14, Jack.
Oh, 14. I thought he was 13, but yeah, he's 14, but still, he's still in the top 15. So that's why they can do it.
And that's my whole point about rankings.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know how he's in the top 15, but we'll...
Go on then, Carl. What's your opinion on this?
I think it's a shambles. How can you go from talking about Joshua to fighting Del Boy and to calling out Manuel Char? Like I said, I'm a massive Tyson Fury fan.
I was going to say, at least we got there via Manuel Char. That would have been...
Is Manuel Char much worse a fight than Del Boy?
To be honest, I actually would have quite been interested with the Manuel Char one, for the simple reason, I think the WBA screwed him, and I think at least it's someone Fury hasn't fought before. As a keep busy fight, I'm okay with it.
I think Fury could have jumped in with Joe Joyce.
I would have preferred that fight, yes.
I think they could have made that fight. Fury's I'll fight any man, blah blah blah. Well,
that was never ever going to happen, Carl.
I'm talking about, if you're talking about his legacy, then he needs to be picking up these fights, don't you? I think he's going to fight Usyk, and I do generally think that'll be it.
I would have actually liked to have seen Fury fight Dubois. I know they would never do it.
Yeah, so Joe says Del Boy's come down the slide, gone back up the steps, and on his way back down again, shot to pieces. He can't do more than 4 rounds. Especially how Fury makes you work. Fury's going to make him work his arse off. So
I know everyone's going to laugh at me for this, but imagine if Del Boy catches him and knocks him out.
If Wilder can't knock him out, though, what makes you think Del Boy can?
I don't. I'm just saying on the hypothetical, fairy dream here, pipe dream here, that Fury accidentally gets knocked out by Derek Chisora, and Chisora's the WBC heavyweight champion. It would just be hilarious.
But Del Boy's got a similar fighting style to Dillian White in terms of come forward fighter, and look what Fury did to Dillian White.
To be fair,
played with him.
I think that's a little bit unfair on White at this point.
Well, you know what? The point I'm making, though, the very similar styles.
The White's basically the thing, but yeah, I know the point you're trying to make.
I don't want this to come across as being disrespectful to Derek Chisora at all. He's been a brilliant servant for boxing. And he's been in some great fights. And if he wants to carry on fighting till he's 90, he's more than welcome to do so. It's his career at the end of the day. And if he wants to earn the money, then go for it. But I am not interested in this fight one iota.
I think he's been spent for a long time. I've been saying
one person I don't blame in this is Derek Chisora. If you're offered this fight, you do.
Yeah.
That's exactly... Jack, you know what, Jack? You've hit the nail on the head there, mate. That's exactly the issue here. Derek Chisora is not to blame for anything. If somebody's a prize fighter at the end of the day, if somebody's going to offer him millions of pounds to take a fight, he's going to keep on taking these fights.
Derek wonder though. How old's Del Boy? Anyone know?
38.
So the British Boxing Board of Control just turned down Lucas Brand to come and fight, who I believe is 40.
43.
Okay, but he's coming off 2 wins and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they allow Del Boy to continue to fight.
Yeah, but then at the same time, there's people older than Del Boy fighting.
But my
There's
point being
women
is
older
that,
than Del Boy and stuff, so they'd struggle not to like.
but I believe they should have sanctioned Lucas Brown to come over and fight.
Oh yeah, no, I
more.
believe that as well. I personally believe.
As long as all his scans are clear, etc., etc.
Yeah, I believe the Lucas Brown fight. He deserved to come over here because.
And let's not forget Del Boy's popularity. Certainly in London, certainly in the O2.
Oh yeah, it'll sell, but it. Do you know what? Right, as I say, from Del Boy's perspective, you do you. I mean, if I was in his position, I'd do the same thing. But the thing, and I don't have any problem with him continuing to fight because I actually think he seems all right. Like he seems all there. Well,
Yeah,
all
he
there
is.
was.
Yes.
But the issue I've got with it is that we're seeing it for a third time when it was 2-0. If it was 1-1 and like Chisora had won the first fight and then Fury even convincingly had won the second fight, I'd go, all right, if we have to, it's a rubber match. There's no need for a third fight.
No.
Fury
No,
beats him
there's not,
convincingly.
Jack, because the first two fights weren't even close.
Yeah,
If they'd have been close fights, you could understand the argument for a third fight.
Yeah,
Maybe the
that's
appetite
And
for a
also,
third fight.
don't forget that Del Boy was younger and probably a better fighter in them other two fights, and still couldn't win. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's move on because it's giving me the ump.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the final topic: Cambosis Jr. versus Ainey or Ainey
Another
versus.
pointless rematch.
Yeah, it was in the original contract though. Jack wanted, so it was
Yeah,
always.
no,
gonna
I
happen.
know why it's happening, but it is a pointless rematch. I'll
Yeah.
say that now Cambosis will win, won't he? But
No, I think Ainey's got his number. I think he'll follow the first fight in terms of the way it plays out. I just think Ainey will win again. I just don't think Cambosis is good. People were slating Ainey after the first fight because they're calling it boring and whatever. I couldn't quite believe he is because I thought it was a boxing masterclass.
I thought he was a masterclass. Do you know what? I really like Devin Haney as a fighter, not as a not particularly as a personality. I'm indifferent to him, but as a fighter, I actually really like him.
And it's a great division, isn't it? You know, some great potential
I
matchups.
love that division. That's a division I'd like to see a boxing super series in.
Yeah.
And with Lomachenko, if he's coming back, can you imagine?
Yeah, so
It would actually be fireworks.
Obviously, New Zealand and Australia are starting to have some big fights down that part of the world, aren't they?
Yeah, and they also seem to have the IBF, some sort of link to the IBF because the amount of Australian fighters that are randomly getting ranked.
Good evening, Larry Liston. Haney will easily beat Cambosis again. Yeah, I've got to admit,
yes,
I
agree with you.
I actually think he does a better number on him this time.
Ainey's
I don't
special.
know if he'll even lose a round.
Yeah, he's a special fighter, Devin Haney. You know, very, very
I'm glad
special.
we've cleared up this whole mess with him being not undisputed, whatever. But he's got everything now. Like no one can say he's not the best in the division.
So Larry Liston says Cambosis' big mistake was looking for that one big shot instead of countering Haney with pressure, head movement, and work more to the body. I just don't think he's good enough to do that, Larry. I don't think he's good enough to get near him.
And this is going to sound like I'm giving Haney way too much credit. I think trying to box Haney with pressure is like trying to box Mayweather with pressure. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're just going to miss all night if you do that. And that's not saying that Haney's the level that Mayweather got to, but like it's
he's
the
not
similar
far off,
sort
Jack.
of thing.
Jack, he's not far off, mate.
No,
He's only
he
a
could
young
get there,
lad.
to be fair. He's still quite young. Do you know what? As I say, I like Haney. I think he's one for a boxing purist, though. I think, Carl and Andy, you'll both agree with me. He's one that if you're a boxing purist, you'll watch him and go, wow. In the same way you used to watch Lomachenko and go, wow, this is mental.
And if them two get into the ring, wow.
If those two get into the ring and it's in the States, I'm gonna go to the States because I feel like that's quite a good night. Although your lad robbed us of a night in the States, I'm slightly disappointed at that. I was quite looking forward to going out to Vegas with you two.
Are we talking about Lee Wood?
Yeah.
Never say never.
I mean, yeah,
I think it's still going to happen,
it
Jack.
will happen.
Yeah.
But
Never say never.
yeah.
So
You'd
Larry
start-
says,
You start saving.
I know. What's that? Well, we're all right because Jack's a multi-millionaire matchmaker, so we ain't got to worry about things like that.
What was this? Because you think this. Glenn Banks seems to think I'm a multi-millionaire. What? What was this rumor?
Just send the jet, Jack. Send the jet. Land it at East Midlands Airport. Me and Andy will sort the rest of that.
Mm.
So Larry Liston said, Aney will struggle with his lack of power when he moves up to 140. Larry said, I favour him over Shakur, though. Ooh, that's a big shot.
That's a very good fight.
Joe said, Pretty Boy Floyd was a lot more exciting. Aney more of a money Mayweather.
Yeah, I
I
get
was
that.
comparing
I
him
get
to
what
money,
you're saying,
by the
Joe.
way, not to the whole Pretty Boy era. I was comparing him more to the money Mayweather kind of era. But
It's
yeah,
and don't be it, basically, isn't it?
yeah, it is that kind of fight.
Yeah.
Pretty Boy Floyd was a great fighter.
Very aggressive.
He was a great fighter to watch as well. But then, to be fair, I didn't mind him even in the money stuff where he was hit and don't be hit. It was quite interesting. The only fight I wasn't massively struck on was the Pacquiao one, but I think that was just a disappointment and went too late.
Jack, for me, when he turned to this money Mayweather defensive, shoulder roll style.
Yeah.
He started picking fighters.
Yeah, he did start
because he was
picking.
promoting himself. He could do what he wanted, and he was picking fighters when they were either too young to know any better,
Canelo.
a la Canelo, or when they were just over the hill.
Who would you say the last one he didn't pick was? Because I know who my opinion is on that.
I don't know. I really don't know off the top.
The last one I would say he didn't pick was Hatton.
Hatton was in his prime. To be fair, yeah.
Because Hatton was one he never won. Hatton basically.
Yeah, I've got my own theory on that. In terms of the fight, Cortez did Ricky Hatton no favors whatsoever. I'm not saying it would have beat Floyd Mayweather. Don't get me wrong, but it would have been a lot closer.
Yeah, in the same way that I think Joseph Parker done slightly dirty in the Joshua fight, because every time Parker tried to work I was there, and every time Parker tried to work inside, the ref broke them up. In the same way, and that's not to say I still think Joshua would have won that fight, but I just think if every time you're going inside, someone breaks it up, it doesn't. It's not boxing.
So Joe says, personally, I'm more of a Sweet Pea guy or James Toney guy than May and Aina. Yeah,
I like James Toney. I'll give him that.
I have to agree with Larry Liston there. I prefer an aggressive style fighter. Larry, I completely agree with you. But you have to respect what Mayweather did in both the money Mayweather and the Pretty Boy phases. You've got to respect it.
I'm going to upset most Brits here. I quite like Barrera.
Oh yeah.
I know people are going to get upset because of the Nassim Hamid.
You talk about Mayweather taking fights with fighters that are over there. What about Amir Khan when he jumped in with Barrera? Yes. That was a disgrace.
I actually heard. In fact, one of you was in the space the other day when somebody tried to justify that fight by saying, "Oh, Barrera beat Hamid, so when Khan jumped in with him, it wasn't a mismatch." Yeah, but Barrera was about 42 by that point.
And don't forget the cut don't forget the cut that took place as well, Jack.
It was a complete mismatch. It was a joke of a fight. Barrera should have been nowhere near that fight.
Barrera should have been nowhere near the ring by that point.
So Larry Liston says Nazim Ahmed was also fantastic to watch. Funny you should say that, Larry. I'm starting to wonder whether the Americans give Nazim Ahmed more credit than us Brits do, because we interviewed
Yeah, they
Roberto
do.
Diaz from Golden Boy on Friday evening on the channel. I might add now if you want to go and watch it. And he also named Nazim Ahmed as one of his favourite fighters. Where he's a little bit like, to use a British expression, a little bit like Marmite in the UK, where some people love him, but there's a lot of people that didn't like him.
And I tell you what, as well, Roberto Diaz was at very close quarters. He'll know a lot about Naz and Barrera because he was in Barrera's corner. He was a young lad at the time, new to the boxing game. And if I'm not mistaken, Cole, did he not carry the Mexican flag into the ring for Barrera that night?
Yeah, so it's again on the earlier interview with Roberto Diaz on the channel. He actually goes through how it played out. So I won't spoil the surprise, but it's well worth a watch and a listen.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't he in Barrera's corner that night?
You'd have to watch the video, Jack.
Yeah, I vaguely remember someone mentioning it, but yeah, I mean, there's a few fighters down the years where I've looked at them and gone, I really like that. Obviously, I'm too young to remember it, but having watched footage, Chavez, senior, not junior. Junior's
forget about junior.
Disappointment to me because I kept when Chavez Junior sort of started getting to world level, I kind of thought, oh great, we're gonna get a Chavez in my era. Yeah, it really hasn't worked out like that. And I'm getting murdered tomorrow morning, I've just realised.
Yeah.
There you go, I've upset a load of Mexicans for you.
Not really, mate. I think they'll agree.
Yeah,
the senior's better than junior.
Yeah, senior's on that level of elite fighters that you throw in a group that we've just talked about. Roy Jones is another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you two think about Roy Jones and what he's done to Mayweather? I actually quite like it.
Sorry, say again, mate.
No, sorry, what he's done to Eubank. Roy Jones and what he's done with Eubank. I quite like it.
I'll be brutally honest with you. I've not really noticed that much of a difference in his style or performance, Jack. That's me just being brutally honest.
I think the style's changed slightly, and I quite like it. He's doing it's just the slipping. When he slips now, he slips in the way Roy used to with the shoulder lean, and I quite like
that. Was only against Liam Williams, wasn't it? And no disrespect to Liam Williams, but
he did it in his. He's done it a couple of fights now, but
I think it's yet to tell because he's not been in with an elite fighter, Jack.
Yeah, true. He hasn't been in with a really top level fighter.
The interesting thing for me was that Roy Jones wasn't going to be in the corner for this Ben fight.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Well, unless he really doesn't agree with it either.
I mean, can anybody tell us why that is?
Yeah, Roy Jones Jr. went on a radio station in the US to say he thought it was more of a father and son type of fight, with the fact that Nigel Benn was heavily involved in Conor Benn's corner. That's the only explanation that he gave.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right, okay.
So he's likely to train him again after this then?
Yes. So Larry Liston says, next great Mexican fighter will probably be Virgil Ortiz. Sadly, that division is stalemate with Bud and Spence still not being announced.
Right. Can Bud and Spence, they're doing my head in like Fury and Joshua at this point. Like, somebody sit them round a table. Lock out. Actually, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say lock out Eamon out the room, but just in case I ever need to work with the PBC, don't do that. Sit round a table, get somebody there who's neutral, and just bang that deal out. Because I feel like just sit in that room for 48 hours, order a pizza, and
not that easy, though, is it? Come on, Jack.
What?
Why
not that easy, is it?
Why not?
Because there's a lot of egos involved, and it's just not, is it? Or we'd have AJ and Fury done.
No, but hold on a minute, right? AJ and Fury don't happen because of a number of things: egos, promotion, television broadcasters.
So what's so different with them two?
Spence is free agent. No, sorry, Bud's a free agent now.
Exactly. That's
He
what
is.
I'm saying. It makes the fight easy.
So he
But
has
he's
no
still going to
TV
have
deal.
demands,
He has
isn't
no.
he? It's not like he's going to walk in there and go, I'm going to accept everything that you're going to offer me because I'm a free agent.
No, he's going to have demands, Carl. But what he's not going to have is a TV broadcaster saying we want the rights. He's not going to have a promoter saying I want to be the main promoter.
He's still got advisors though.
No,
he'll still have advisors and a manager. But what I'm saying is
Bud manages himself, so he doesn't even have a manager.
The two
Are
big.
you telling me, Jack, that he's got nobody around him offering him commercial
Oh, he'll have an
assistance?
advisor, but it'll be like an unofficial one. It won't be. So he manages himself in the same way Dillian White manages himself.
But what I'm saying is the advisor's still going to be telling him what he should and should not be accepting. Obviously, they've not reached that golden spot yet, have they? Or
Well, from what I've heard, and I actually allegedly, but this has come out quite publicly from somebody in America who I know reasonably through social media reasonably well, that Bud has actually accepted an offer, but he wants transparency in said offer. I'm not going to say what it is, just in case I'm wrong and I get sued or something. But there's apparently an offer that Bud is willing to take, but he wants Heyman and the PBC to show exactly what the gate revenue, what the pay-per-view revenue is. He just wants to see it so that he knows he's getting the exact percentage he's entitled to.
So Larry Lister in the side says, Al Heyman wants every A side. I've just lost it for a minute, bear with me. Al Heyman wants every A side benefit for his fighter, Spence. He can afford for the fight not to happen right away, as that will age Bud out. Also, he does not want Spence to lose, obviously. Larry then says also, can the fight generate enough to pay off both fighters sufficiently? PBC has a hard time selling pay-per-views abroad. In fact, you can't even watch PBC abroad, and it's a domestic US promotion, in my opinion.
You can watch certain fights for the PBC abroad. For example, Wilder Fury, the first one, was a PBC promoted show.
So it all comes down to what that pot looks like. What do we think the pot looks like?
But from what I've heard is it's a percentage deal. So you hear about Fury Joshua 60-40 or whatever. It's a percentage deal, which from what I can understand, and obviously I'm not sat in a negotiation, so I don't really know. But like from what this individual has said, it seems to be a pot that's there, and Spence gets this, Crawford gets this. Bizarrely, from what he was saying, Spence is getting more, which to me just doesn't make a great deal of sense.
There's your reason why it's not being signed then.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing? Do you think that Marvin Hagler and Tommy Earns argued about little bollocks shit like this?
No, but Sugar Ray
they wanted to go in the ring and take each other's heads off to see who was the best. Why is this not happening in this generation?
Sugar Ray was the original one to argue about splits, though, because it was well known about that. He got an extra 5% out of a promoter just by refusing to fight until he did.
I genuinely believe it's because they got bigger and bigger entourages around them.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
True.
This is the problem with American boxing, mate, and it's been like it for 20 years. They get paid way too much money for fighting nobodies. So when it comes down to massive fights like this, they want extortionate money. So they're getting paid millions for fighting somebody that's maybe not even in the top 10.
Wilder Areola's
there's no one watching. There's no one buying the pay-per-views, but they're still getting it because of the broadcaster, the amount of money that's in the States, right? So they're getting stupid money for fighting nobody. Where's their ambition to go on and fight the best if they're only gonna get paid the same amount of money for fighting the best? They're just not gonna do it.
I agree with you. And
And
they
no
need to
amount of
sort-
pizza and locking people into rooms is going to resolve that.
No. They're just not
It
gonna
was a
do
good
Bob.
suggestion, though, wasn't it?
They're not going to do it. And there's no ambition between either of them two fighters to have a legacy that says I'm the best. Because otherwise this fight would be made by now.
Has anyone else figured out that I only said that just to see if they would put me as the neutral guy so I can get a free pizza out of it?
Come on, Jack.
Yeah, but like I don't know.
You're
But
better
like,
than that.
yeah, but I don't. I mean, there's so many UK fights that happens as well, and they get a stalemate, and there's lower down ones that it happens to as well, and it drives me insane.
There is Jack, but when it comes to the very, very top end, when these fighters first laid a set of gloves on, they'll have had heroes. Those heroes were proper fighters with legacies. They wanted to be the best. Now, when these guys, Spence and Crawford, first laid a pair of gloves on, they'd have had ambition to be the best. They'd have had ambition to be world champions. Where's that ambition gone?
There is a devil's advocate to this one, though.
Go on then.
The amount of fighters that are now broke because they didn't look after their interests or maybe didn't earn enough money during their career. Very short career. So, from a commercial perspective, they should try and get every dollar they can out of the game.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, right? But we're talking about two fighters here that aren't broke, aren't we? We're talking about two fighters that are already multimillionaires. It's not like it's not like this. They need this fight to pay the bills, is it? They need this fight for the legacy. That's what it should be. They need this fight to see who's the best in the division, and then maybe they can move on. Maybe then they move up, or maybe they retire.
I think in Crawford's case, it almost would be do this and then you're done.
Yeah,
because he doesn't have. I know they're talking about him going to 154. I don't see he needs to.
Do you think Spencer's got anything left though?
We don't know, do we?
I have zero idea because Spence is so inactive now because of that car crash and everything. I have zero idea what he's got left.
It just annoys me. It just annoys me that fighters in this generation just don't want to put it on the line. And it's such a massive division as well. There's so much talent, Jack, in that division.
But then people say about that, right? But then when someone steps up and does fight, obviously not one of the best in the division, but if somebody steps up and fights, say Canelo, and just doesn't ask about the money or whatever, and then gets blown away, people go, well, why did they do that? What do you mean?
Well, you could say that about Tyson Fury going to Germany. He got paid pittance.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
But do you know why he did it? Because he knew he was going to win, mate.
Yeah. And I was one of the few people who backed Fury that night. Just because...
The point I'm making is, look what he's gone on to do. Look how much money he's gone on to make.
Oh, yeah.
Off of that one opportunity that no one else probably would have wanted. He took it, and he took it for a ridiculously low percentage. Ridiculously low.
Well, I know he got
75-25 Tyson Fury got in Germany.
Was that what he got in Germany? I couldn't remember. But I know people will say, oh, you got well paid for it. Rocky Fielding, when he fought Canelo, he literally did it so he could fight in Madison Square Garden. He gave it an interview. He didn't ask about the money. He took the fight without asking about the money, and I'd believe that as well. I genuinely believe he took the fight without asking about the money because it was Canelo and because it was MSG.
I know I go back to this a lot, Jack. I know I go back to this a lot, and I talk about him a lot. But there's a reason. There's a reason why people still go on about the Four Kings today.
Oh yeah, no.
40 years on, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Because they all put it on the line against each other multiple times.
They all fought each other.
Different sport now, though, isn't it? A lot more.
It doesn't need to be, Cole. It doesn't need to be.
But it is. It's a different sport. It's like trying to compare football from back in the 70s and 80s to what it is today.
But hold on a minute. Boxing was one of the biggest sports in the world at that time.
But it's still a different sport now in terms of the money that's floating around. There's a lot more money floating around, a lot more promoters, a lot more broadcasters. So I think that the road.
So what you're telling me is that fighters have got more people to eye behind.
If you would put them fighters in this era, it would have been much more difficult to get them fights made now than it would have been back then.
Right. Here's
No,
one
okay,
for you,
but
then.
hold on a minute. Let me just jump in, Jack, before you do.
Yeah.
I did disagree with you completely, Cole. Do you know why? Mentality of the fighter.
No, it just the heads would have been turned.
No, they wouldn't.
They would.
No. The mentality of them fighters were they wanted to be the best. They wanted to fight the best. Yeah, they got paid handsomely for it, but they wanted to be the best and they wanted to fight the best. Regardless, win, lose, or draw.
I just think there's a lot more on. I just think it's a different ball game. You're comparing apples and pears.
No, I'm not.
Here's one for you then, and you can tell me if you think he's brave or wrong decision to do this. Paul Butler has taken the Inoue fight in December in Japan. Now, I don't know what he's getting paid. I'm never gonna find out. And even if I could, I wouldn't. Right or wrong decision to do that? It's undisputed.
Of course, it's the right decision.
Yeah. Now, to me, it is, but everyone's criticizing him for it, saying,
Why?
"Oh, you sold your belt. You've done this. You've done that." For me, perfect decision. Because Butler's been a world champion twice. What's he got to do? What's he got to prove? If he's not proven anything by not taking the fight. If he takes the fight and wins it, he's undisputed.
That's called ambition, mate. That's called legacy. That's called believing in your own abilities.
I don't think any fighter will ever turn down a fight, but I just come back to the same point where they've got a lot more happening around them now. A hell of a lot
This is
more.
what I'm saying.
Oh, I think it's teams that turn fights down. I don't think it's fighters, personally. There is occasionally fighters.
But how many times, Cole? How many times have you said it's the fighter's decision at the end of the day?
I agree. Yeah, I do. But I'm just going back to the Kings. I just think you can't compare because it's a different time. It's a different time. And I'm a believer that them fights would not have happened so easily in this era as it did in that era. And I'll stick to that because there's a lot more people getting involved.
Coming back to the Four Kings thing, I think we're almost getting to a stage where we might end up with that at lightweight. If they all stick around for a while, we might end up with that.
I'm gonna put this right out on the line right now.
Yep.
People will not be talking about Spence and Crawford in 30 or 40 years' time.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so either.
No, they won't, mate. They won't.
I think
because they haven't put it on the line.
There are fighters that we've had in my lifetime that there will be people that talk about. I think people will still talk about Mayweather in 30, 40 years. Because I think he did fight. All right, he cherry-picked them towards the end of their careers, but he did fight everyone.
Yeah.
Eventually. And I think potentially if Haney and Lomachenko get it on, then maybe we'll still hear about them in the future.
It's a great debate, and we could go on all night long.
Yeah.
It's one of them that we're going to disagree on, mate. It's just one of them. You know, it's probably about. Maybe I'm reminiscing a bit. I maybe am, but then that for me, then boxing's not what it was.
Oh, thanks. I'm ruining the sport now. Cheers.
No, it's just how I see it, Jack.
I just think there's a lot more involved now. A lot more people getting involved in making a fight. In my honest opinion.
No, you're right, Carl. You're right. But at the end of the day, as you've said many times, it's the fighter makes the final decision.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andy. I'll let you take it out.
Again, wow, what a show. Lots we covered. Brilliant comments in the sidebar again. Just to let everyone know, we're not doing a live next Thursday. We're going to do a pre-record that will drop on the Thursday instead, as other things are happening. We may have a couple more interviews to drop at the next week as well. Time will tell. And just to let you all know, we're going live Saturday straight after the final bell of Shields Marshall. Give us 10 minutes to listen to the post fights, and then we'll jump straight on. So everyone that's in tonight, if you fancy joining us, please come on screen as well if you can, and give us your post fight analysis of what's gone on on the card on Saturday night. That'd be great.
And drop your comments in the comments box regarding your predictions, and we'll pick them up before and after the fight.
And I have nothing to do with Shields Marshall, so please don't blame me if something goes wrong with the matchmaking.
Thanks to everybody once again in the sidebar, and we'll see you when we're live on Saturday night.